This is TWiT.
Unreal Engine is used all the time in so many games. It's not just Unreal, right, Brianna?
Right. Well, we have a lot of different engines in the game industry. There's Frostbite, there's Unity, but Unreal in particular is very exciting because it's used beyond the game industry. If you saw the Star Wars movie Solo, you saw Unreal Engine used for a lot of the special effects there. It's just a remarkably agile 3D engine that's really, really good at cinema. So people use it in television pipelines. It's just it's a Swiss Army knife of 3D work.
And I was asking you, how do you work in Unreal Engine? Is it coding?
Well, it's a little bit of everything. You have the Unreal Editor with Unreal 4, and you can install it on a PC or Mac. If you're designing 3D assets, you can bring something in from Maya or Max or Blender and put it in FBX and import it. You can certainly code, or if you don't want to learn to code, you can just use visual nodes. They have an entire visual scripting language called Blueprint, which is excellent. Many games that are shipped with Unreal Engine don't have a line of written code in them. It's just people hooking Blueprint nodes together. It's a very, very, it's a really good language. In fact, with the last game I shipped, I know C++ really well, but I ended up working in their visual scripting language because it was faster, and we were trying to ship a very complicated game on iOS devices. So Unreal Engine is awesome.
Before the show, we were talking about, I was showing you some Minecraft stuff the kids have done. We've got a bunch of 17-year-olds who have their own Minecraft worlds, and they're doing a lot of design. And you said, that's the kind of skill, those kids have the kind of skill that they could then go to something like Unreal Engine and design real games.
Absolutely.
That's really interesting. And so there's a whole generation.
What they're doing is more complicated because they're having to design the static meshes. Like with Unreal Engine, it's just you go into Content Manager and drag the door, the wall, the box, whatever there, and then do the lighting for it. So they're actually doing something that's harder.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
And it's free.
Well, it's free to a point. Unreal Engine 5 that's coming out will be free up to $1 million, at which point you'll have to pay royalties.
I'll pay royalties after the first $1 million. I'm okay with that.
Well, my last license for Unreal Engine, like if we wanted to put C++ code in it, we had to write Epic a check for, I believe it was $30,000. So This is a much better deal for many people.
That's great. So, and does Epic Games do this for the money?
Well, Fortnite has become so popular that they've got the
money.
Cash.
Yeah, Tim Sweeney made $7 billion himself last year.
Right.
Thanks to Fortnite.
They're really pushing the Epic Store. So there was an announcement this week that Unreal Engine 5 is coming out with just a breathtaking demo, and it got a lot of attention.
Let's take a look. We've got some of that video. Tell me what this is the Epic, instead of GDC, they just did a video. Right. So tell me what is new in this. Is it lighting?
So it is lighting. So if you look at this,
oh my God,
look at the number of, we call them tries in the game industry, basically the number of vertexes on all of this. When they get very close, you're not just going to see the lighting. You're going to be able to really, really make out every single point on these statues.
So all of this stuff is really a combination of polygons, often triangles. That's why I call them tries.
So look at that rock right there.
That looks like, I don't see any triangles. That's amazing. Right.
Well, traditionally in a game, if you looked at something like a rock, we've come up with ways to fake it with normal mapping, which basically puts a 2D image over a 3D object.
Put a texture
and
on top
fakes
of it.
depth. Yeah. Well, it fakes depth and makes the engine render it in a way that looks deeper. What they found out how to do here is to render so many tries with this statue that it just looks unbelievably realistic. And the thing that is exciting for game developers like me is rather than having to go through and optimize every single statue to have a low poly, a medium poly, a high poly, and ultra high poly, this new engine is going to do it all dynamically, which has a lot of applications, not just for PlayStation games, but for VFX, for television logos, for everything. So it's really exciting.
I feel like I'm at Petra Jordan. I mean, you could recreate real world stuff. This is truly mind-boggling.
Look at that dynamic lighting. That is so computationally intense.
So
That's
what they're
ridiculous.
doing is moving the light source, and then it figures out what it looks like on each try as it's going through the scene.
That's exactly right. If you look at a video game, you'll notice that shadows and lighting will affect your character, a skeletal mesh, but it's not going to affect the environment around you beyond shadows. So this is a way of doing it. It's dynamic lighting.
Is it
it's
ray
much,
tracing?
much deeper. Ray tracing is, if I recall correctly, it's not in this demo yet, but we hope to have that soon.
Because you're starting to get ray tracing now in some hardware.
Right. Right.
Wow.
Look at this. This part is what is absolutely stunning.
And even the person looks pretty darn real.
Yeah.
There's always that uncanny valley with the characters in these games.
Right.
So, for some reason, they can make, rocks. Yeah, I feel like we're in Petra. Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, the number of tries it's computing is just mind-boggling.
What kind of hardware,
Brianna,
though? This must be running on a
right,
supercomputer, right?
Right, that was my question.
If I remember correctly, this is targeted for the PlayStation 5. So I don't think the video, and you'll look this up, but as I recall, this is something that could run dynamically on a normal PlayStation 5, but it was pre-cooked ahead of time. So it's footage in development from an engine that's in development.
Wow. I've got to buy a PlayStation 5. Will the Xbox Series X, their competitor, both coming out at the end of the year, will that have similar capabilities? Or?
Well, I imagine Unreal will eventually run on it. The thing I love about Unreal is you can create a game once, and then you can port it to Android, you can port it to Mac, you can port it to PC, you can port it to, even Switch in some cases. So it's a very versatile Swiss Army knife.
So complex. We've needed
This
to
is
greatly improve our animation
really incredible. And look at the birds and the
predictive foot placement and
The lighting. My
the
God.
lighting is amazing.
modifies IK and body position.
Look at the way the scarf is flowing. Like that's,
Yeah.
I mean, it's older technology, but that's physics on that particular scarf and the way the bone structure inside of it is floating around.
So, if you think about
look at this.
the calculations involved are phenomenal.
Well, they figured out how to optimize it, but I mean, something like this just could not be done on a PlayStation 4. It would be impossible.
If you read Carmack's book about the early days of id, the techniques that he had to use to make Doom even vaguely playable, I mean, there was a lot of trickery involved. And that was partly because the processors weren't that good, but I think that there's still algorithmically a lot of magic going on here.
Yeah. What's exciting about this for developers is if I was trying to do something like this in Unreal Engine 4, I would have to spend a week on every one of these statues. I would have to go into ZBrush with that particular shield and create custom normals and spectral maps. What they've focused on is the pipeline here for developers. So I would be able to take that high poly asset directly from ZBrush, bring it into Unreal Engine, and then like your kid making a Minecraft level, just drag and drop that into the scene, and then it would do that. This is what they're saying, that it will do all that work for me beneath the hood. So
is it just ZBrush? Will it work with Blender or other 3D?
Yeah, it would work with other 3D programs, but something this detailed is done in ZBrush. So yeah, if what they're saying is true, this is going to really cut down on the amount of time it takes games to create things that are visually stunning.
Right. And you can see why Epic is doing this, because these games will probably be on the Epic. A lot of them will be on the Epic platform. They sell them. Correct. They have an Epic store. They just want, a fortnight every year is all we ask.
Which is funny because Fortnite is very low poly.
I know. It's not interesting, isn't it? It's not challenging. Was that an aesthetic decision, or is that a decision based on the fact you're going to have a lot of players, a lot of things to calculate?
I mean, you try and make games like that for a wide audience. Like World of Warcraft is like that as well.
Of course.
Wow, this is just stunning stuff.
But that's one advantage of having a platform like the PlayStation 5 that's so dominant.
Yep.
That you can say, well, I know there's going to be 1 million players out of the box ready to buy my game.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, after looking at this, I can't wait to get one. Will it look like this out of the, I mean, it's not even out yet, right?
Well, the one thing is, if you talk to Amazon about, their lumberyard technology, they will swear up and down that it's great, it's amazing. I mean, the company is going to tell you their product is great.
Everybody can do this.
Right. I want to see developers look at this and evaluate the pipeline. I certainly will when I can get my hands on it. But, Epic, I can say this. I've worked with them a lot. They've always been a very honest company with me. Their support has always been excellent, and they're a very developer-focused company. So from my experience, I have no reason not to believe what they're saying is true.
Just to be clear, is this pre-rendered, or in other words, is it like a cutscene? They kept saying interactive. It looks like it's being played.
Right. It would be something like that would be done on the fly in the game. Even cutscenes are not pre-baked. I mean, nowadays they are being rendered in the engine. It's just playing straight through.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Generally, yeah.
They don't render them ahead of time to make them look better, huh?
They do some of them, but generally speaking, most cutscenes in games are using the engine dynamically, which is why, yeah.
Is this the best engine out there now?
I think we'll have to look at it and tell, but I've spent my career learning Unreal Engine, so I feel very strongly about it.
Wow. We're going to, it's just in the nick of time. When we get the second wave of quarantine in place for the year 2021, we'll have a great game machine to play with it. Was that Tomb Raider, or is it just kind of a random?
Just a random new IP that they were playing with.
Wow, really interesting. Guys, Dwight, you don't play video games, do you? Are you a big Fortnite player?
No, I did a long time ago. I was kind of a big Doom, Quake.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
But I just ran. I don't have the time to do that anymore. And now I would get my butt handed to me. My handle was the Llama King, which should tell you how bad I was.
You really kicked the llama's butt, did you?
That's it. Yes, the other way around.
So I played a lot of Unreal when it first came out, that was 20 years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That looked amazing for its time.
It was mind-boggling. Yeah. I remember.
So NASA uses Unreal to develop training for astronauts. I did a story about virtual reality at NASA several years ago, and one of the things they have a lab where they essentially train astronauts what to do if they get in trouble on a spacewalk. And I got to use their simulator with VR, where I was essentially standing out on the edge of the arm on the space station, the robotic arm.
Oh, that's cool.
And it was incredible. And they use Unreal. Some of the other simulations use Unity, but it was incredibly impressive.
Yeah. The thing I like about Unreal is the cinematic scripting part of it. Like, if you're looking to do cinematic scripting, they've just they really invented the interactive cutscene in 3D in games in a way that was very accessible for developers. So they've literally been working on that part of the engine since 1998, and they've gotten to be very good at it.
Yeah, 98. I remember on the Screensavers set, we built what we called at the time the Ultimate Gaming Machine, which had a CRT monitor that was like 800 pounds, and it was a widescreen monitor, which in those days was probably this. But we played a lot of Unreal, and it blew my mind then, because I had played Doom, which was, go back and look at the original Doom, pretty gritty, and then Quake. We loved Quake, and then Unreal came out, and it was like, how are they doing this?